You for having me. And my name's Jimbo, and I have a box on my head. And when I have this box on my head, it changes how I see you and how you see me. It changes how I think, and it changes how I feel as I try to succeed in life. My name's still Jimbo, and I still have a box on my head. I have an invisible thinking box. And this invisible thinking box changes how I see you and how you see me, and how I feel about trying to succeed in life. So whether I have a box on my head, and how do I know I have a box on my head? Because people keep telling me, you need to think out of the box. But what I find is people tell you to think out of the box, but they don't tell you what the box is. So we take thinking out of the box literally with the box. And in our programs, we have people write, draw, wear, tear, share, repair their box, because we think that if you build a box, you can make the invisible visible, the unconscious conscious, so that you can make the impossible possible. And this all started by accident in 2009 at the end of the financial crisis. I had a client that asked me, can you do a program on out-of-the-box thinking? I said, yes. And then I had to think, well, what is the box? And on the ground in my office, I found a box. And so I put the box on my head and I said, this is in the box thinking, and this is out of the box thinking. And then I was like, we will put boxes upon their heads and it will be marvelous. And we did. And since then, we've unboxed more than 50,000 brains. And we've done this all over the world, including Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Costa Rica, Mexico. So many places in your neighborhood. I'm living in Taiwan, so many places in my neighborhood, like Hong Kong, China, Shanghai, but all over the world in many different countries, we've been using the box to help change the way people think to get better results. So the first thing before we share the lessons, I just want to go over what the box is. When people say think out of the box, what they're really saying is take all of your experience, and we would call it your mindset. So think out of your mindset. Think beyond your normal thinking. And the purpose of the box is safety and success. And if you're here watching this today, congratulations. You're successful, you're safety, you've kept yourself safe. And our hope is that by going through this today, you'll be even more successful. The challenge for thinking is that over time, we go from being a little bit flexible with our mindset to being fixed with our mindset. And when we become more fixed with our mindset, we get into our comfort zone, or if we're focused too much on safety, we get in our comfort zone. If we focus too much on success, we're going to feel too much pressure. I like to put those two things together and call it my confidence zone. I may not be comfortable, but I'm confident in how I'm doing things. I've been working on my thinking for 60 years. And so I'm very confident in my capability until I don't get the results I want. So the real question becomes not, do we think out of the box? It's when do we think out of the box? Because actually my thinking is pretty good. We say no one tells you to think out of the box when you're at the beach. It's not when things are going well. It's when you're under pressure. So I'm going to give you two main signals that you need to be thinking out of the box. Your body is begging you to think out of the box. The first one is feeling boxed in. In our programs, we would ask our participants to put the box on the head, to maybe take some photos, and then we would ask them, when you have this box on your head, what do you feel? What do you experience? And then we talk about it. And the most common boxed in responses are, I can't really see with this box on my head. Under pressure, can you really see? I can't hear others. Under pressure, do you hear others? I can only hear myself when I'm in the box. Under pressure, who do we hear? Maybe I feel very uncomfortable. I want to escape. Or maybe I just feel risky. I'm afraid of stepping on people's toes. All of these are things that we feel in this box that also represents the feelings that we may have under pressure. Sometimes we even feel safe or protected. And so we hide behind our box. So these are what we call boxed in feelings. And that's a signal that your brain is giving you that your unconscious thinking is not working for you and that you need to be thinking out of the box. The second thing that's really important to be aware of is what we call boxed in behaviors. And the boxed in behaviors, it's just like this picture shows here. If I have a cup of cold water and I put it out in a warm room, over time, there will be some condensation that grows on that cup. And the same thing's true for me. I can have a confident face, but if inside I'm feeling alone, isolated, unsure, frustrated, eventually those internal feelings are going to impact my external behaviors. And so then I may become impatient. I may become overly flexible. Um, I may drink more. I may sleep more. All of these things are what we would call boxed in behaviors. And so one of the first things to learn about how to think differently is to pay attention to those signals. Do I have that feeling of being boxed in? Do those behaviors start showing up? If those behaviors start showing up, if those feelings start showing up, then it's time for me to not just think out of the box. It's time for me to build a better box. And so the first lesson that we've learned that I'd like to share with you is you need to own your box. We say, own your box or your box owns you. And those boxed in feelings and those boxed in behaviors, that's your box owning you. And owning the box is recognizing that I can become conscious of my unconscious thinking, and I can open up my unconscious thinking so that it doesn't own me. And the challenge of this is that the outside of the box is kind of it's our personal brand. Jeff Bezos said that your personal brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. And we care what other people think and say. And so we don't want to go against that personal brand. So we might be afraid to change. We always say that it's not that people don't want to change. People want to change. It's just that people don't want to be changed. And that change is a door that must be opened from the inside. So the first thing we're going to have our participants do to open up their box is to open up one of these front panels. And when they put that box on their head, just like I'm doing right now, you may notice that for me, the good news is I can see more of you, but you see more of me. And so in English, we could change the word intimacy to into me, you see. That if I own my box, I can decide how much I protect and how much I connect. And so one of the keys to thinking differently is going to be to open with authenticity, to open with vulnerability, to let your light shine out. And don't just be protect your persona, protect your public self, allow that true self to come out. The next thing has to do with how we see the world. And I love this illustration because one boxy's seeing the number 9 and the other boxy's seeing the number 6. And it doesn't seem like a big deal, but if my belief system is this is a 6, if I am confident that this is a 6, then I'm not going to be listening to your point of view. And so the emotional connection that comes with being right, that comes with being experienced, that comes with being good at what you're doing, increases my ability to disagree and my ability not to learn. So I'm constantly filtering through my lenses. And in our box, it looks a little bit like this. And so I have all of these lenses. It's like an eye doctor. And what I forget is that I filter everything. I think that I'm experiencing reality, but I'm experiencing my reality through my lenses. And so the way to be more creative and to think out of the box is to open up with curiosity. And so we physically open up our box with curiosity. And once we have authenticity and curiosity as a part of our box, now we've changed the way we communicate. We change the way we feel about each other, and we get to know the real person, and more empathy, more connection, more co-creation. The next thing is that my box helps me succeed. And the problem is I don't want to fail. And so I will lower my goal so that I can't fail. And what we've learned is that it's important for you to align to the future that you really want, not the future you think you can get, and not the future you think you deserve. And so the key part of this is to ask for more, to trust that inside of your box, there is that inner genius. And just like the genie can't grant the wish from inside the lamp, your brain can't answer your wishes from inside the box. The next thing is that my box is going to help me make choices. And you'll see there's a little battery here. In our model, battery helps us by draining, helping us avoid things that are draining and do more things that are not. We would get people to look at what they really want and then list out their buts. I want this but. I want this but. And the problem is that your current thinking is perfectly designed to get your current results. So you're going to have to make a choice. Do you commit to believe in your beautiful future, or do you commit to believe in your negative stories that are designed to keep you safe? If you can open up your mind and let those old thoughts out and let those new thoughts in, that's what we call mental floss. I let out the old to make in the new. And so mental floss is a key component of creativity, letting out the old, letting in the new. The final thing I wanted to share with you is you are not alone. And what we've found is that when we get people to list their buts, the reasons why this isn't going to happen, they're almost all of them are I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I'm too old. I'm too young. But as we learn to open up our thinking and live in that more open growth mindset, we can actually connect our boxes to each other. And my favorite part of a program is when we get people inside a bigger box and we start to find out what are the possibilities that exist inside this bigger box that don't exist inside of my own box. Finally, if you want to change your world, you have to change your thinking. So we say change your box, change your world, not change the world, but change the world. So as I change my box, as I have more openness, as I own my box, then I change my reaction. I change my feelings. I change my emotions. That changes my behaviors. Better behaviors impact others differently. And so we always invite people to be a box star. So as you go through this FiAD conference, I would just welcome you to open up, to be curious, to be authentic, to think about what you really want and asking for more, to practice some mental floss, and to remember you are not alone. And my invitation to you is I would love it if you would link in with me and share what you enjoyed most from from my little session here. And maybe if there's one area of your life that you're going to try something different, I'd love for you to send me a message in LinkedIn and let me know. But other than that, it's my pleasure and honor to thank you for the time and hand it back to the wonderful people at FiAD.
Thank you, Jimbo. Thank you very much. We have a few minutes more for questions and answers. So if anybody wants to make it, that's the time. A lot of people is, congratulations you, Jimbo. If you want to say anything
Yeah.
more.
Well, I think for me, one of the big things I've learned about.
We have one question here.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Ceci, if you are here, the question is, ¿cómo sabemos que realmente estamos pensando fuera de la caja? How can we know if we are thinking out of the box?
Yeah. That's a great question. I think when we're thinking outside of the box, there's a feeling of freedom. You know, when I'm stuck in my box and when I'm a little bit boxed in, I may be kind of frustrated. I may feel tightness. When I'm thinking out of the box, there's a sense of relaxation. There's a sense of openness. And, you know, to me, one of my biggest things is thinking out of the box is never enough, because I can have a million ideas, but if I don't create a better box that can actually do those ideas, then nothing's going to change. And so my other way of looking at this is, I know I'm thinking and being in a better box when I'm doing new things that I've never done before, when maybe my hands are sweaty because I'm a little nervous. You know, when those kinds of things happen, then I know I'm building a better box. I know I'm learning something.
Thank you, Jimbo. If we have another question, that's the time to do it.
Well, maybe I'll answer one question I get a lot, which is, what's the most important thing to do? If I want to build a better box, if I want to be more creative. And I think one of the most important things we can do is to judge less. And judge, what I mean by judge less is, inside my mind, there's a voice that says things aren't going to work. I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not whatever enough. And the more that I judge myself, the more I judge others. And from that position of judgment, it's really, really hard to make positive change. So the most important thing we can do, if we want to be more creative, if we want to live a life getting more of what we really want while experiencing less pressure, is to reduce our negative self-judgments and to reduce our negative judgments towards others.